Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our top stories. The federal government confirms that another nurse has tested positive for the Ebola virus, bringing the number of cases so far to 10. President Jonathan responds to criticism trailing the deployment of troops to Osun State governorship election. National Conference delegates receive a final report on draft constitution. Members to reconvene on Wednesday to debate the document. And Iraqi president wants country's deputy speaker of parliament to form a new government. A reminder here that all our top stories can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. But do visit m.channelstv.com so you can view us live on a mobile device and download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also encourage you to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. So I'm taking now to Gloria Umezoke, who's in our Abuja studios to give us more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Amarachi, and welcome to the nation's capital. A faction of the Northern Elders Forum has given the president up to the end of October 2014 to produce the over 200 abducted Chibok schoolgirls in Borno State and end the Boko Haram insurgency or forget about re-election in 2015. The Alhaji Maitama Sule faction of the forum explained that the warning became imperative because they believe that the lingering terrorist attacks and other related security challenges in the country pose a major threat to the 2015 elections and the survival of Nigeria as a nation. Addressing a news conference in Kaduna, spokesman of the forum, Solomon Dalung, identified lack of political will and corruption as being largely responsible for the lingering insurgency in the northeast.
The Northern Elders Forum calls on the president to immediately set up a judicial panel to investigate the recent killings of over 30 members of the Islamic movement in Zaria. The internal investigation by the military in an event in which soldiers are involved will not meet the minimum standards of fairness and acceptability. The security situation in our nation today represents the most serious threat to our individual and collective lives in our entire history. The reality is that the threat posed by what appears to be an insurgency that has many manifestations and defies a clear and consistent identity is growing due to the absence of a clear national consensus over its nature and its solution.
Well, hundreds of wives of Nigerian soldiers who took to the streets in Maiduguri today to protest the deployment of their husbands for military duties in Gwoza in Borno were asked to return home as their husbands are under oath to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The protesters, who eventually settled at the main military barracks in northeastern Maiduguri city, had questioned the insistence of the federal government in continuing to wage war against insurgents despite limited military facilities. But the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, told Channels Television today that the issue being raised by the women is unacceptable. According to him, it is not normal or proper for any officer or soldier to decide where he or she would be deployed. Neither would such demand be encouraged from spouses in a period of serious operation. End of quote. He also explained that the entire nation is depending on the army to address the security challenges. Therefore, it is wrong for spouses to begin what he calls a cowardly act which is capable of demoralizing the military. Well, it appears the president has a bone to pick with elderly politicians who, rather than seek a peaceful coexistence among Nigerians, prefer to make inciting comments. Addressing the opening session of the Interfaith Summit holding in Abuja, President Goodluck Jonathan wondered why any reasonable politician would condemn the deployment of security personnel to man elections in the country, pointing out that those who advocate that security should not be provided do not mean well for the country. He particularly condemned those who criticized him for what they described as an excessive deployment of security operatives in the Osun governorship election, saying that if he had any motive, his party, the PDP, could not have lost the elections.
I'm surprised that some political parties are advocating that governments should withdraw security during and after elections. What surprised me most is that even some labor leaders are advocating that government should not secure people during elections. And I wonder how short human memories are. We just finished 2011 elections. That's just about 3 years ago, or quite close to 4 years ago. And we knew what happened in Bauchi, that 10 youth corps were slaughtered after elections. We know what happened in Kano. Properties worth millions of naira were destroyed. Some of the people have not built back their houses. We know what happened in Akwa Ibom, where some criminals even have to sever the genital organs of some men in the name of politics. Demons who want to hold political offices. In that kind of a situation, how would anybody who call himself labor leader come publicly to say government should not secure people? I don't agree with them. My promise of free and fair election is clear. All governorship elections that have been conducted so far, you can agree with me that has been free and fair. I am from PDP, the ruling party, but I don't use that strength to make sure that PDP must win by all means. PDP have lost election in Edo State, we lost election in Anambra State, we lost election in Ondo State. Of course, only 2 days back, we have lost election in Osun State. But we know and we say that this country must change. The kind of elections we had in the 60s that led to the crisis in the West, that threatened the sovereignty of this country, cannot come up again.
In the meantime, the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has condemned what he called the massive deployment of security forces to Osun State during the governorship election. While addressing journalists in Lagos today, Mr. Tinubu said the idea of using security operatives to intimidate people is not only repulsive but counterproductive and should stop forthwith.
We will celebrate this victory over tyranny, the abuse of power, the misuse of public resources. It is not an acceptable standard of operation. Is our liberty subject to gunpoint? APC is the cure for this tyranny. This is for change.
Well, after a 3-week break, the National Conference has resumed proceedings for delegates to conclude their work and approve the final report of the conference. However, the delegates did not sit for long today as the secretary announced that the conference will adjourn till Wednesday to allow delegates study the draft report they had received. Well, some of the delegates, however, pushed for the plenary to resume on Monday next week, saying the 2 days given by the Secretariat is too short. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, has the report.
After about 3 weeks, National Conference delegates resumed in what many Nigerians expect will be the final lap of this national assignment. As they arrived, the delegates signed in and immediately went into the conference hall. While they waited for the conference chairman to arrive, they were given copies of the draft report. Eventually, the conference secretary arrived to make this announcement.
I have the mandate of the chairman of the National Conference to formally inform you that there will be no sitting until Wednesday, and that you collect the documents we have for you, you study them, and then you come back on Wednesday when we resume sitting.
She also outlined some of the documents the delegates will receive and are expected to consider before resuming on Wednesday.
So you will have the main report, volume 1, main report, volume 2, draft constitution bounded, then the bill to amend the constitution in a white, which is clipped in loose sheets. Then in the white envelope you have the draft constitution, which is a fusion of what you've suggested plus the existing constitution.
The conference rose immediately after. Some of the delegates spoke on the development.
I think, well, we need to, because we didn't get it before now, so we really need to look at it. Since we are going to the end of the confab, it's important for us to look at it but I'm not sure whether 2 days is enough to look through the documents that I am seeing.
Even when somebody is writing his PhD, for you to have this volume of document, it will take you time to really study. To me, I'm equally of the view that the time is short, and if we rush it, nothing meaningful can be achieved.
Others were of the opinion that it would be better for the conference to resume on Monday.
We expected the management to allow us to read the documents, go through the documents up to this week, then resume on Monday and discuss the matter. It is not possible to finish that document, to go through the documents today and tomorrow. So we've told her to inform them so that we can have some time to make useful contributions when we resume.
We should be given time. Something we have done for more than 5 months, it's not good for you to just go and take 2 days and do it. No, I know definitely if we come on Wednesday, we are going to take more time. It's better we take a whole week and read very well for the interest of this country.
It appears some delegates agree with this position given the size of the reports they are to consider. But for now, the conference is to resume on Wednesday. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, the world celebrates the youth leader of the Oodua People's Congress, calls on government to pay attention to the youth again.